Quran is constantly calling you to appreciate the beauty of things around. You constantly, in a world that is so quickly on a highway towards atheism and a highway towards scientific materialism, on that highway, what you're finding more and more is that the arts, music, things that were expressions of beauty in human culture, they are suffering now more than. They have, once again, everyone, I would like to share with you, inshallah, that one of the things I'm holding myself back from as I'm teaching this is the I will tell you what section where. As we go, but what I have to hold myself back from is describing the architecture of each section. Each section itself actually has a pretty profound architecture, but the more effective way of teaching, that is if you have the text in front of you and I can illustrate it. So if I speak about it verbally, it'll actually become confusing, right? So I'm avoiding that, but regardless, I will tell you something about this particular section that we're entering. This is going to be almost a change of subject. The first was, here's where the disbeliever stands. Right now, Allah will say that they're not just in denial of a prophet and a warner. They're not just disregarding the majestic nobility of the Quran. They've actually haven't appreciated even the world around them. I mean, the ayat that were all around them have always been there, and they've never thought about them, and that's why it's so easy for them to reject this revelation. This argument is a recurring one in the Quran, and it's certainly manifest here. The thing that I find really beautiful about this passage that we're about to enter is Allah will talk about the sky, then He will talk about the earth, then He will say something about the benefits of the sky and the earth for you and me. Then He'll talk about the sky again, then they'll talk about the earth again, and they'll come back to you and me again. Sky, earth, me twice. That's the beauty of this passage. But each time it highlights something entirely different. The reason this is my favorite passage, I'll premise. It'll break the surprise ahead of time. The first time He talks about the sky and the earth, He talks about how beautiful they are. The second time He talks about the sky and the earth, He talks about how beneficial they are. So beauty versus what benefit, another way of saying that is style versus substance, right? So to Allah, style is important, and to Allah, substance is important. The deen of Allah is not only about substance. It's also about style. It's not just about function. It's also about beauty. It's both. And that's why our study of the religion, my study of the Quran, for example, is also a study of two things. It's a study of the substance of the Quran, what is Allah saying, what's the purpose in which what Allah is saying, but it's at the same time a study of beauty in the Quran, the style of the Quran. These are two things that go hand in hand. Allah does not let me look at the universe and say, let me tell you the sky gives you rain, so you can eat food, move on, that's it. I can, it's going to be, I can internalize the smell. I can look at something and just stare at its beauty. Why is He telling me this stuff? He should just tell me, slaughter the animal, eat the meat, make sure it's, and then drink the milk so you can, gain these nutrients and function. That's it. Let me just give you the fuel, and that's it. No, He took His time. Like one of my favorite places describing this, and it's going to come up here too, is when He talked in about fruits. He said He could have just said, I gave you date, I give you, dates. He says, no, I give you dates cover. In wrappings, why did He say wrappings? It's the idea of gift wrapping. It's the idea that I wanted you to have this, and I wanted you to unfold it and then enjoy it like He didn't just give me an orange, He wrapped it and He scented it too. Give me a banana peel, like he gave these things that just beautify the colors on them, the patterns on them, the texture of them, the feeling of them. These are beautifications of this food. It could just be an orange, could have just been mush that's also orange by the time a child is done with an orange. You see what an orange looks like. Oranges could have just looked like that. Strawberries could have looked like what you could just mash them a little bit here, eat this, but the way He packaged it, Even like, these food trucks and things, they'll take beautiful pictures of food and blow them up, and ads of like grapes falling and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Coups. It's beautiful stuff to look at. It's gorgeous to look at. Allah didn't have to make food. Beautiful, I mean, He could have just fed us any way He wanted. He could have fed like we feed animals. Animals, they don't need decoration on their food. You just put the pie in front of the thing and delete it. You don't put ketchup on the side, and this even. Taste is a part of beauty. You know that food did not have to be delicious. Food just had to be nutritious. There's a style to food. Allah put a style to food along with a substance to food. If all I need is fats, proteins, carbs, that's all I need, then you could get them in a chemical like blend. Just drink that and you're good. Why do we want the chicken to taste this way and add the salt and roast it that way? And the fruits here and the sides there and the masala. Why all of this? That all of it is actually style, not substance. What is it teaching us to? Allah's style is a big deal along with substance. This is important distinction to make, because for a lot of people, life is only about style. At the expense of what substance, there are people, even in the religious studies, all they're concerned about is the perfection of and the beauty of the Makkah, and it's all about the style at the expense of substance and on. The other hand, you have people that are only concerned with what substance. Just tell me what's halal and move on, man. Why are you talking about trees and mountains? Just give me the W and let me move on there. Are people only concerned with substance there? Are people only concerned with style? Allah doesn't let you distinguish between the two in His book. They go hand in hand. This is the nature in which Allah created the human being. Okay, now, didn't they look and stare into the sky above them? The word Eli is used as opposed to fe. If you use the word, it would actually suggest that they ponder deeply into the sky. Allah is saying, didn't they ever even look for a little bit into the sky? Didn't they even look up? This ayah means so much to me. Because I used to live in New York City. I had to go from my home Queens to the bus stop, to the subway, to the human sardine can that is the subway system. And then you come out of there and you go into your building and you go into your elevator and you look like this the entire time. And what do you never look at the sky? The first thing I noticed when I came to Texas, people don't look up. Actually, the only time they look up is if it's raining. That's the only time Allah says why. Didn't they look towards the sky that is above them? Right, above them, how did we build it? Did they ever wonder how marvelous its architecture and how we beautified it? Beautifying the sky. In the daytime, He beautified it with clouds, with its color, with the birds flying. In it, that's the beauty of the sky above us, and then you. If it's a bright sunny day, you just like opening the window, you just like looking outside. It's natural. Why do you pay extra for a room with a view because of the sky meeting the ocean overlooking the valley? You pay extra for that. You don't. There's another hotel room, much cheaper. It faces the parking lot or the industrial air conditioning unit so much, but you don't get it because you want the view. That's what you came for. It's something appealing to human beings. This want of beauty, said it very beautifully, actually is Urdu poetry. Right? And the idea behind it is very powerful. He's actually arguing that human beings have an innate desire to seek out beauty in what they wear, beauty in how they live, beauty in what they draw, beauty in what they build. For men and for women, a man wants to design a car and make it look more beautiful and enhance and K out the interior. Whether you're living in like Junction Boulevard, Queens, and you got spinner rims because they be looking ill or whatever, or you got or you've got a house and you've redone the interior and you've got this fancy interior designer to do it for you, or you're into fashion and you're customizing your clothes or whatever. Human beings seek out beauty. They look for it in what they eat. Their entire shows dedicated to have you seen? Those ridiculous cooking shows, you know I love the presentation, how you place the garnish on the side, and it's really the texture you say so. Many words just eat the thing, and they'll have this big plate and this little like, I don't know how these people eat. Like if this was a Daisy show, there would be food falling off the plate on the sides, but they'll have this giant plate and this little leaf of grass and like a little bite. How many of these you're going to eat, dude, you know? But the idea of the presentation of food, you know, Cake Boss, right? Decorating. But where does it come from? I mean, cats don't seek beauty, dogs don't seek beauty, snakes don't seek beauty, they just seek survival. I mean, where did beauty come from? Where did it evolve? Monkeys have a design sense. I mean, you could argue that there are things inside the human being that you can also find in animal shelter, find hunger, find there. There are things, functional things, but then there are things inside the human being that you just don't find in anything else. Where does the desire to produce music come from, to make art to better and better? Architecture, I mean, look at the marvels human beings have created. If we just wanted to create a places to live, all of them will be boxes. He argues that the search for beauty began when human beings were first created and they were in the presence of Allah, and when because they witnessed Allah, and Allah is beautiful, loves beauty. We saw the ultimately beautiful, and then we left Him. And we've been seeking beauty since we came into this earth, and we're seeking beauty. Since this is actually a Quranic argument, the Quranic argument is, don't you look at the beauty in the sky? Why do you think you look at the beauty in the sky? Don't you look at the incredible architecture of the world? Why do you look at that? Why does that appeal to you? Why is there even a desire for beauty inside you? It's actually God you're seeking, you know, every time you find something beautiful. You get bored and say there must be something more beautiful, and then you seek something more beautiful, and then you seek something more beautiful, and Allah says to your master, alone is the final and the ultimate beauty is with Allah. That's where we're going to end up. This is what these ayat are about. Didn't they look to the sky above them? How did we build them? How did we build it? How did we beautify it? Cracks, rips, tears, incisions. Did you see any of them in the sky? We saw this in pretty exhaustively. Then he says, he switches their attention. Okay, now you're done staring at the sky and the earth. We laid it out, to lay out. Flat, okay, to lay out flat. So first he talked about the height of the skies and the beauty of the skies. Now he's going to switch over and talk about how the earth has been stretched out and laid out and we dropped in. It anchors, he's calling mountains anchors. And it's not a scientific term. This is actually Allah's way of like is used when a ship drops an anchor. And literally in classical Arabic, it stopped at the end, which is the English word anchor. It's from the Arabic word okay, Allah put mountains there as fixtures for you that don't move. Like, you know, buildings come and go, cities come and go, what stays where it is mountains. Mountains are these fixtures Allah placed so you can stabilize, and you can even build societies around them, you know. So Allah says, and just like we enjoy the view of the sky, the view of a vast landscape, few things can be as beautiful as the view of a mountain when you get to a region that has mountains. And of course, Texans have a really appreciation for mountains because we don't have them. So when we go to Colorado or when we go to Washington State or even drive in California, oh my God, this is nice. The ups and the downs, the valleys, how the sky meets the mountains, how the trees are formed there, the views from above, the views from below, you know, you just kind of can't help. Notice somebody has a home at the foot of a mountain or at the top of a mountain. Your eye just goes there. This is all pictures of, you know, images of beauty, and then we sprouted in it of all kinds of pears. And pears actually means species in Arabic. 2Z means group, two groups that complement each other are called. That's why the Quran will say even on Judgment Day, not pairs, but groups among them, but when groups complement each other, like a pair is supposed to complement each other, that's when they're called Z. The idea is Allah put all kinds of flowers, trees, plants of colors that complement each other. They just go together. You know when you and I do interior design, sometimes the colors just don't go. But when Allah paints a landscape with flowers, trees, fruits, the greens, and the yellows and the oranges and the pinks and the purples, they just go together, and you just found them stunning you. Don't say that doesn't match you. Don't do that. This is the idea of but. Then he adds in Arabic means to be overjoyed. Be has two meanings, beauty. And happiness, you know what that means. You look at something and you find it beautiful so much that it makes you happy. You look at it, you can't even help it. You're a miserable person. You're always in a bad mood. And you look at this thing and you're like, wow, even you smile, even if you're the board member of a masjid. Yeah, it's an old joke, but you know, it's timely. Now check it out. When he described the beauty of the sky, he said, three things. How did we build it above you? In contrast, he said about the earth, how we stretched it out below you. He said, how did we beautify the sky? He contrasted it immediately with what's the beauty of the earth. The mountains, and on the other side, I love this one. There's not a single crack hole in the sky, but the earth, he planted all kinds of gardens in it. And to plant gardens, you have to have holes to plant them. And the earth is full of holes, but those holes create beauty. The sky is beautiful because it has no holes. The earth is beautiful because it has openings, because those openings produce color and beauty. The contrast between the skies and the earth, 3 verses 3, so balanced, so beautiful, just. The way Allah speaks, subhanallah, and what I really find fascinating about these ayat is that Allah decided to talk about beauty and joy and appreciation and our quest for beauty before He talked about purpose. He talked about that first, and as a matter of fact, the entire surah began that way. Nobility is not a need. Nobility is what adds beauty to life. You don't need to be treated with respect to survive, but if you're not treated with respect, your life is going to be ugly. Human beings seek respect and dignity because it beautifies their life. They went straight to the substance of warning and they looked at everything so in a way our decaying bodies, that's where they took the conversation. And Allah is focused entirely on beauty. You know what this makes me think? I know I'm getting a little too philosophical today, but I can't help it. Quran is constantly calling you to appreciate the beauty of things around you, constantly in a world that is so quickly on a highway towards atheism and a highway towards scientific materialism. On that highway, what you're finding more and more is that the arts, music, things that were expressions of beauty in human culture, they are suffering now. More than they ever have. You'll find music becoming more and more violent, aggressive, thumping, mind-numbing. You know, music used to be used across societies, even in the Muslim world. It used to be used for therapy. You know, and is something that even that there was the Prophet would enjoy the recitation of the Quran that's melodious, and he would, inspire certain poets to recite poetry melodiously because he enjoyed it. And the Prophet would say within eloquence, and part of eloquence has a magic to it. Poetry used to be profound and deep. What is poetry now? What are the lyrics to song now? I want to jump, I want to stand, I want to sit, I want to lie, and that's the mild version I want. To like most things that people are bopping their heads to are written by a second grader. I mean, the level of sophistication that used to be in the arts, that used to be in music, that used to be in, in paintings, like, even that the state, it's an interesting study of, like the Muslim art versus Western art. If you notice, Muslim art, we don't depict, it's not just because it's haram or whatever. It's actually, if you study Muslim art, you'll find its obsession with geometry, perfect shapes, perfect curves. And this is balanced with this side even. Our calligraphy is all geometric and balanced, right? That. And Muslim architecture is all about order and balance. You know why that is, because this is something consciously and subconsciously inspired by the ayat of Allah in the Quran, where He constantly talks about balance and harmony and things in order, and we actually see the world this way, and so our art expresses it. So Western art started with like looking. Painting things just as you see them. So you'll find paintings of landscapes and a barn, you see those paintings right. And then art takes another turn. By the way, this is right. So the Muslims are painting what is behind the mountain. What are they painting? The order and the symmetry behind it, the source code. And the Western art, a lot of Western art was what you see is what you get, the river, the tree, and then what you see, if you don't know that there's order behind it and all you have is the apparent, then soon it starts becoming ugly. Soon everything you see becomes ugly because everything you see is reduced to its basic parts. There's a reductionism that starts taking place. So what happens is I don't see beauty anymore, I see ugliness. And you have impressionist art and other kinds of art you'll see. Paintings in a gallery where there's a face and one is over here and one eye is over here and his face is over here. You've seen those, and people are standing there looking at, I wonder what he's trying to communicate. The Muslim looks at it, he goes, why did he, you could have just put the I there, that would have been a lot better, but now you know what the artist is saying. This is how I see the world, ugly, deformed, purposeless, and then the art takes yet another turn where you can have a monkey take a blotch of paint and smack it on a wall and call it abstract art, because this is what you see now. I see purpose and purposelessness. I see randomness all around me. I see even in the art. That's all I see. This idea of beauty is not a small thing. Beauty inspired by faith is not a small thing, and we Muslims have to restore that sense of beauty, especially to the arts, because the arts are one of the most constant forms of human expression that have survived. Kingdoms have come and gone. Art has survived. Kingdoms have come and gone. Poetry has survived. Powers have come and gone. Constitutions have come and gone, and yet this has survived. This is something we have to influence, because this influences human thought. It influences a lot, and this affects how even the way that film is made. And by the way, the use of obscene language was seen as something lowly. People do and wasn't considered art ever, right? And now box office films, which are art film as art, the highest caliber films have the most obscene language. The most grossing music has the most obscene language. Human beings are deteriorating artistically. This is what's happening, and that's why these are important. Allah created beauty all around us for us to see. In the mountain, in the tree, we could see it differently than everybody else. We find joy in it, and then Allah says these are words that are just, I gave all of this to you, the skies and the earth, and you can call it here the purpose of it, for the purpose of you to be given insight. And from, I'll get like a little bit Arabic nerd on you, a little bit comes from like the word means to make someone see. The word means to really make someone see, like means to remind someone, and means to really remind someone. It's a hyperbolized form of making someone see. Allah says, I made this sky this way, and I made the mountains this way, and I made flowers make you smile, to force you to see, to really make you see.